Are you planning a trip to Istanbul? Then you have come to the right place. We're Jess and Miles, and we have spent the past couple of years here trying to help others fall in love with this city just like we have. Today's video is going to be all about how to get from the Istanbul airport to the city center. This is a question we get all of the time, and it's something that every visitor here is going to have to figure out once they arrive. So we're going to do our very best to help you prepare for your arrival.
But rather than just tell you how to do it, we thought it would be fun to actually come up to the airport and test out a couple of options for ourselves. We are currently at the Istanbul airport, and to make things a little more interesting, we thought we would have a little bit of a competition. One of us is going to take the luxury route in a private car that we've prearranged, and the other one is going to take the budget route using the metro. Our final destination is a hotel bar in the old city, and whoever gets there last is buying drinks.
Naturally, we're going to play rock, paper, scissors to figure out who gets to take the private transfer. This is one of our favorite ways to make some of our tougher decisions.
Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Oh!
Okay. So Miles is going to take the metro and I am going to take the private shuttle that we have prearranged.
All right, I've got my route mapped to my phone. Are you ready to do this?
Yes.
All right, I'll see you at the hotel.
I love you, be safe.
I love you too. Based on Google Maps, I've got my work cut out for me if I have any chance of beating Jess. We tend to use Google Maps anytime we're using public transit, and generally speaking, it does a great job of getting you pretty much anywhere in the city. I'm going to be taking the metro because they just finished an extension to the M11 airport line a couple of weeks ago that should make the metro a much more practical option than it used to be. I actually forced my Google Maps to show me the metro and not a bus option because my strategy is to avoid the surface streets as much as possible. That way, if there is any traffic, it will affect Jess and not me. And frankly, that's my only chance of winning this race.
Oh, I've totally got this. I have a few minutes before my scheduled pickup time, so I'm going to head inside and grab a coffee and give Miles a few minutes head start just to make things more interesting. If you take a private shuttle, one important thing to know is that the drivers are not allowed in the main hall. So you're not going to see anybody holding up a sign waiting for you when you exit the customs area. Instead, the company that we booked through told us to meet them outside of exit 8, which is where I'm heading now. And then I'm going to be looking for a sign that says T34. After we made the reservation, they sent us all the instructions with a video, and it's pretty straightforward. T34, I already see it.
The metro station is about a 10-minute walk from the terminal, and it's pretty easy to just follow the signs. But first things first, you're gonna need a metro card. I already have one, but if you've just arrived, you're gonna need to come to one of these machines behind me. It's 70 Turkish lira for the card, and then you're gonna need to load money onto it. If you ever wanna check your balance, you can just set your card on the machine and it will tell you how much you have left. And to add money, you just insert your cash. There are some machines throughout the city that take credit card, but most of them only take local currency, so keep that in mind. Getting off a plane and just jumping right onto public transit could be a tough transition for some people, especially if you're first arriving into a new country. But anyone coming to Istanbul should at least get a metro card and plan to take a ferry across the Bosphorus or the tram in the old city. It really is amazing how easy it is to navigate the city using public transit. There are Istanbul card machines at most ferry terminals, metro stations, and tram stops. So there's no need to come here to get your metro card when you first arrive, unless of course you plan to take the metro like I am today. And on that note, we should probably get going. The airport line only runs every 20 minutes, so I got really lucky to catch that one. I hope it took Jess a while to get to her car.
Well, that was easy enough. I met a guy at the T34 sign, showed him my name on a list, then followed him down to the parking garage. So we brought our luggage with us today to show the reality of getting into the city with a suitcase. Obviously, that's going to be a lot harder on one of us than the other one. I'm really happy I got this private transfer. Sorry, Miles. So now I'm just waiting for the car.
This car for you.
Perfect. Merhaba.
Merhaba.
Yeah, this is definitely nicer than public transit.
This is actually my first time taking the metro from the Istanbul airport. We did take it on the way to the airport last year when they first connected it all the way out here to IST, but it wasn't very practical at the time. This M11 line wasn't connected all the way to the M2 line, so there was an extra connection and you actually had to leave each station and walk a few blocks in between trains, so it was not a fun option with luggage. Like I said before, they just finished the connection of the airport line to the M2 just a few weeks ago, so I'm really interested to see how easy this connection is while wheeling a suitcase, which is not something Jess has to worry about today.
We are already on the highway heading towards the city. Something important that you should know is there are actually two main airports in Istanbul. You have IST on the European side and SAW on the Asian side. Most major international flights fly into the Istanbul airport on the European side, which is why we're making this video all about getting into the city from IST. This shuttle service that we booked costs 45 euros for this very nice private van. If you're just two people or you don't need as much space, there are also private cars starting at 35 euros. And this pricing is based on going to Turquoise on the European side. I believe it's the same price if you're heading to either Galata or Karaköy on the European side. But if you happen to be going to the Asian side of the city, the pricing is a bit higher. It's a lot further of a ride and you have to get across the Bosphorus, which comes with a toll. Anyway, we'll link the company that we're using in the description below, and they have agreed to give a 10% discount if you book your transfer within the next 30 days using our coupon code. So you have until March 19th to take advantage of this discount.
Okay, I'm coming to the end of the airport line that only took about 25 minutes. Now I'm really eager to see how long it takes me to make this next connection. I'm looking for the M2 line. Google currently says it's a bit of a walk, but I'm hoping that's inaccurate since I'm currently underground. So I'm just gonna follow the signs and hopefully it's pretty straightforward. So far it doesn't look like I have to leave the station, but it is quite a walk. I think I took 4 different escalators. All right, this sign right here says it's about 270 meters away. Got about 2 minutes to make the next train. It's gonna be close. I think I'm gonna be sweating by the time I get to Jess.
It's hard to imagine a better experience getting into the city from the airport than this, but there are a few more options outside of a private shuttle or the metro. You could always get a taxi or Uber, but Turquoise, where we're heading today, is over 40 kilometers from the airport, and it's going to take at least an hour depending on traffic. There is Uber in Turkey, but it's just Uber taxi, not private cars. So it will give you an estimate in the app, but ultimately it's subject to the standard taxi rates, which just went up in the beginning of the year. Regardless, if you do want to take a taxi, we definitely recommend doing it through the Uber app. I checked the Uber app while we were at the airport and it was estimating between 800 and 1,000 Turkish lira. So honestly, it's only a little bit more to have this private shuttle waiting for you. And then, big bonus, you don't have to worry about potential taxi scams. And if you're looking for a more budget-friendly option than a taxi or the private shuttle, but you don't want to deal with the metro, there is an airport shuttle bus service, and we will link that in the description as well. Each shuttle bus operates on a set route and timetable, and they only make a few stops. They have designated drop-off points all throughout the city, but there's only a few near the main tourist areas. So if you go this route, honestly, it will still probably require some kind of public transit connection or a taxi to your final destination, depending on where you're staying. There are public buses as well, but honestly, now that the metro is better connected, I really don't see this being a practical route. If you want to use public transit, you can pretty easily see all of the different options on Google Maps. It may end up requiring some combination of the metro and buses, but you can just put in the Istanbul Airport to your hotel and review the different options on Google Maps that are available. Anyway, the nicest option is definitely going to be a private shuttle like this. Anytime we've had family come to visit, we have made sure to book them a private shuttle. The pricing really isn't that bad considering how far the ride is, and it's even more affordable now with our 10% discount.
Real quick, if you're looking for help planning your trip, we have built a comprehensive digital guide that includes anything and everything you need all in one place. We have an entire guide dedicated just to Istanbul, and if you're going to other locations throughout Turkey like Cappadocia and the coast, we have a full Turkey guide as well. Our guides have already helped hundreds of people plan the perfect trip here, and if you want to learn more, we will link both of these in the description below. Okay, back to the video.
I wonder how Miles is doing.
Made it just in time. Okay, I'm on the M2, and I know I said that Google Maps is pretty accurate when using public transit here in Istanbul, but there is one exception to that rule that might help me make up some time. Google is telling me to stay on this M2 line until the Haliç station, which would have me walking about a mile to the hotel bar, but I have an idea, so I'm gonna get off at the Taksim station.
I can officially see the Golden Horn. We're getting close. We can see the aqueduct. Such a cool city. We love Istanbul so much. If you happen to be staying in Taksim or around Galata or Karaköy, you would actually have an even shorter ride from the airport. It's a bit longer for me because we're heading all the way into the old city to the southern peninsula. If we would have picked a place on the northern peninsula, it would have made it a lot easier for Miles too, taking public transit. But we had to keep things interesting for the purposes of the video, and we found this new rooftop bar we're excited to try. I wonder where Miles is. I actually really feel bad for him with what he has to endure today. I know he was hoping for traffic to be really bad for me because that was going to be his only chance. And there's been a little bit of traffic, but honestly, it has not been bad at all. I wonder if he's even on the T1 yet.
I got off here in Taksim because there are a few funicular lines here in Istanbul that for whatever reason do not show up on Google Maps when you put in your destination. There's one here in Taksim Square that leads down to the waterfront that will connect me to a tram line that'll hopefully save me some time. Since the other route had me walking about 20 minutes from the middle of a bridge all the way to the hotel, at the very least, this route will save me a lot of walking with my suitcase. This definitely means I'll be taking more connections, but the funicular is only one stop, so it shouldn't add much time at all, and it's right across the street from the tram line. Okay, now I can just take the tram right into the old city and get off much closer to the hotel. But it is packed.
Hello there. There are a lot of people out and about this Saturday. We're getting closer. I'm only about 10 minutes away at this point, but traffic is definitely a lot busier down here. One thing I will say is that Google Maps has a pretty hard time estimating just how bad the traffic is here. Now that we've crossed into the southern peninsula, there's a lot of red. And there's a T1 tram passing me right now. I wonder if Miles is on it. If he beats me after all this, oh my gosh.
I'm having to hold my bag between my legs. I should mention this is probably the most popular tram line in the city for visitors. It connects the Karakoy waterfront to the old city and has some very convenient stops for places like the Spice Bazaar, Sultanahmet Square, and the Grand Bazaar. I'm going to be getting off at Sirkeci, which is about 5 minutes from the hotel. At this point, I'm probably less than 10 minutes away.
Almost there. I think I can see the hotel. There are so many people in the middle of the street. Traffic in the old city is pretty terrible.
This is crazy. I've been on this tram quite a few times, and this is the busiest it's ever been. Okay. All right, I made it off the tram. I can see the hotel. I have no idea if this was enough to beat Jess. She would have had to get caught in some pretty bad traffic.
All right, I made it. Let's see if I got here first. Teşekkür ederim. My original estimate on Google Maps was 53 minutes, and it ended up taking more like an hour and 15 minutes. So let's see if that was enough to beat Miles.
All right, the moment of truth. Oh, how long have you been here?
Like 45 minutes.
Oh,
So sorry.
you look a lot nicer than I do right now.
You're really sweaty.
At least I'm here.
I know I wanted everything, but I almost feel too guilty to enjoy this victory.
A deal's a deal. Drinks are on me. Cheers. I have to be honest, the public transit here is really easy to navigate, but doing all of that with luggage is not fun, especially if you happen to be jet lagged after a long flight. But I will say, I spent less than $5, so at least I have some money left over to pay for these drinks. And some areas of the city would be easier to get to with the metro than here in the old city. If you're staying in Taksim Square or maybe even Galata, it would only require one connection, but that's definitely not the case for here in the old city.
Not to rub it in or anything, but I had a great afternoon. I caught up on my book, I listened to some music. Traffic really wasn't bad at all until we got into the old city, but even with that, it only took me an hour and 15 minutes, so it really wasn't bad.
And I feel like I got pretty lucky with my connections. I mean, I ran between the airport line and the M2 green line and just barely made it, so it could have taken a lot longer.
Honestly, depending on what time you land, traffic can be a lot worse here, but either way, the private transfer is definitely the most worry-free and comfortable option. And let's be serious, when we set up this little competition, we knew that the private transfer was going to be the winner across the board, so there's no surprises there. But we wanted to find a fun way to show you the different options you'll have when you arrive here in Istanbul.
Our biggest advice is just to have a plan before you get here to Istanbul. Whether you play around with your public transit options on Google to understand your route, map it on Uber to get an estimate on your price, or book a private transfer ahead of time, make sure you know how you're going to get to your accommodations before you land here jet lagged and foggy after a long flight.
All right, that's going to do it for us today. Thank you so much for watching, and we hope you found this video helpful. Be sure to check out our other videos on Istanbul and Turkey, and thank you so much for watching.
And please subscribe. I just spent the last 2 hours on public transit to show you one of the many ways to get to your accommodations. I would say that was fun. but that would be a little bit of a stretch.
What a way to spend our Saturday.
So hopefully you can hear us.
I know, because I don't think we're going to do a take 2 of this closeout if you can't. Cheers. One last thing. So we sat back at this little like wine cellar area, but this rooftop bar does have a really nice view. So we're going to show you, and then this video is over.